you're watching The News. We're here today with our end of the year news recap. I'm gonna throw it to Will with the weather. Thanks, Will. Boy, I gotta say, it was quite the year for weather. Let's start off with the hurricanes. The 2000 Atlantic hurricane season was the first Atlantic hurricane season without a tropical cyclone in the month of July since 1993. The hurricane season officially began on June 1st and ended on November 30th. It was slightly above average due to a La Nina weather pattern. The first cyclone, Tropical Depression 1, developed in the southern Gulf of Mexico on June 7th and dissipated after an uneventful duration. Several other cyclones, Tropical Depression 2, Tropical Depression 4, Chris, Ernesto, Nadine, and unarmed subtropical storm. The most significant storm of the season was Hurricane Keith, which caused extensive damage in Central America. After remaining nearly stationary offshore, Keith moved inland over the Yucatan Peninsula and later made a second landfall in Mexico at hurricane intensity. It caused $319 million in damage and 40 fatalities, mostly in Belize. Now on to tornadoes. The 2000 tornado season as a whole was slightly below normal 10-year average. There was 1,075 tornadoes confirmed in the United States. January was inactive with 16 tornado reports. Activity in February was high with several strong tornadoes throughout the South. March was also quite active with a notable tornado in Fort Worth, Texas, taking place at the end of the month. The spring months saw normal activity with substantial outbreaks in both April and May. Most of June was marked by below normal activity with 135 tornadoes confirmed. The end of June and all of July had tornado reports nearly every day, resulting in an active early summer period. This activity continued into the beginning of August, but the later part of the month saw few tornadoes, as well as the start of September. The rest of September was slightly more active. The fall months had normal activity, however, a pattern shift at the end of November caused December as a whole to be quite inactive. As for earthquakes, the 2000 Baku earthquake occurred on November 25th at 22:10 local time, measuring 7.0 on the Richter scale in the epicenter, and 3 minutes later followed by a quake measuring 5.9. It was the strongest for almost 160 years, since 1842, in the Baku suburbs, and in addition to the capital, affected Semagati, Shamagati, and neighborhood cities. I'm going to throw it back to myself in the newsroom. Wow, Will, that's incredible. Now I'm going to throw it over to entertainment with Adam Gustus.
Thanks, Will. As for this year's entertainment, it was entertaining. The Academy Award for Best Picture went to American Beauty, and the Nobel Prize for Literature went to... I can't say that. Some guy from China. Kathy Lee Gifford announces that she was quitting Regis and Kathy Lee. Who is going to replace her? Who's to say? Oprah Winfrey earlier this year debuted her magazine. What was it called? The first letter in her name. Oh! Some other popular movies this year were Aaron Brockovich and The Gladiator. Oh! This just in. Christina Aguilera beat out Britney Spears for Best New Artist at the Grammy Awards this year. Back to you, Will.
Wow, thanks, Adam. That entertainment sure sounded entertaining. Now we're going to throw it to Emily over with the international news.
Thanks, Will. As for the international news, it was a whirlwind of a year. The half-century of antagonism between North and South Korea recently ended when leaders of Kim Dae-jung and Kim Jong-un met in Pyongyang to discuss and make the peace accord of 2000. The accord states that the North and South Korea will resolve the question of reunification independently and through the Korean peoples. They have also agreed to resolve humanitarian issues. The peace accord dramatically eased tensions between the North and South Korea. Now in Europe, mad cow disease is causing a panic. Many countries are setting up plans to get rid of the disease. However, despite these efforts, Europeans are not letting beef pass their lips. The governments in Europe will keep their efforts to keep this disease from spreading. Back to you, Will.
Wow, Emily, that mad cow disease sure sounds miserable. And now a brief word from our sponsor.
Am I a carrot?
No.
Am I a bagel?
Yeah!
Speaking of bagels, I'm really tired of having them for breakfast.
Guess what I got? Cereal! milk. It has 160.
Whoa! No more bagels! Now we're gonna throw it to the national news stories with Anna.
Thanks, Will. Now for our national news. This year, the election of 2000 happened. Our candidates were Al Gore, who was a Democrat, and George W. Bush, the Republican. George W. Bush came away with 47.87% of the popular vote, and he had 50.43% of the electoral vote. Al Gore Jr. came in with 48.38% of the popular vote and 49.4% electoral votes. George W. Bush was inaugurated on January 20th, 2000. August 4th, 2000, Texas judge rules that predominantly white Dallas suburb of Sunnyvale has been shutting out minorities and poor for 50 years through illegal zoning laws. The judge ordered officials to adopt new laws that would encourage development.
Thanks, Anna. Now we're gonna throw it to Megan with the sports.
Thanks, Will. This year in sports, for the World Series, the New York Yankees versus the New York Mets, and it ended up with the Yankees leading 4-1. The MVP of the series was Derek Jeter. For the Stanley Cup, the New Jersey Devils versus the Dallas Stars. For the Stanley Cup, the New Jersey Devils versus the Dallas Stars, the Devils ended up winning 4-2, and the MVP was Scott Stevens. For the Super Bowl, the St. Louis Rams versus the Tennessee Titans. The Rams won 23-16, and the MVP was Ray Lewis. The NBA Championship, the Los Angeles Lakers versus the Indiana Pacers. The Lakers won 4-2. The MVP was Shaquille O'Neal. For the Golf PGA Championship, Tiger Woods versus Bob May. Woods ended up winning 3 major championships in the same year. The 2000 Summer Olympics were held in Sydney, Australia. 199 nations participated, while 10,651 athletes participated. The United States ended up with 37 gold medals, 24 silver medals, 32 bronze medals, all equaling out to 93 total medals. Bring it back to Will and the...
Thanks, Megan. Well, that about wraps up our 2000-year recap. Thanks, I'm Will Cruzan, and we'll see you next year.
Right after our picture. Like, right after, like, it says what we're doing, you can add that in and that would count for time.
Yeah, because it could just be like... I really do that.
Okay. Oh, no. End of the year news broadcast.
Mad cow disease was also causing a panic. Wow.
Wait, yeah, when it gets bad, I'm gonna go.
Alright, start from Mad Cow.
The disease. However, despite these efforts, Europeans are
Your opinion.
Europeans really don't matter.